The Drelokian capital glittered beneath twin moons, a monument to power and control. But deep inside, control was shattering. Every alarm in the maximum security wing screamed at once. Holographic displays lit up with a single impossible image. A human child, no older than 3, stood in the middle of the Voidstalker habitat, a pink dress among alien rocks. The motion sensors were already screaming. From the cave, a massive shadow detached itself and moved with predatory silence. 6 legs, obsidian scales, yellow eyes burning. The Voidstalker, killer of 17 handlers. The child turned. Her face was utterly calm, lit by the predator's approach. No scream, no fear. The beast's head lowered, fanged snout scanning, a growl rumbling through the rock.
Minister Velcor slammed into the control room, his voice a roar. How did a human child breach the Deathstalker's cage?
The security chief's voice over the comm was hollow. All 3 checkpoints bypassed, every sensor defeated.
Override the lockdown. Get that door open now, or we'll watch a human child die on Drelokian soil.
8 hours earlier, the Drelokian capital glittered with welcome banners for a human diplomatic shuttle. Ambassador David Reeves carried his daughter Olivia down the ramp, her blonde pigtails bouncing with each step.
Minister Velcor spread his purple hands wide. Welcome, Ambassador. Your child is most diminutive.
David set Olivia on her feet, keeping a firm grip. She's 3, Minister, and she stays at my side.
Velcor gestured grandly. Then you must see our pride, the Voidstalker habitat. Triple sealed, unmatched security.
They walked under archways lined with holographic trophies of Drelokian conquests, every kill a testament to dominance. Olivia's attention snagged on a pulsing violet gemstone embedded in the wall, a Drelokian power node.
17 handlers lost, Velcor said, his tone reverent. But the Voidstalker is our symbol of power, perfectly contained.
David's jaw tightened. The massive door ahead hummed with deadbolts and energy shields, and it was still not enough to comfort him.
Olivia tugged at his hand, pointing back at the gem. Daddy, look, pretty light. He pulled her gently forward, his gaze still on the sealed door.
They entered the viewing gallery, a curved wall of reinforced glass overlooking the cavernous habitat below. Velcor spread his arms, describing the Voidstalker's unmatched lethality, while David's eyes traced every security layer. Behind them, the corridor pulsed with the violet gem's alluring glow. Olivia's gaze drifted back, her small hand slipping free from David's loosened grip. She toddled back, drawn to the light. The first security beam flickered above her pigtails, never calibrated for a creature 3 feet tall. Around the corner, a low-maintenance vent gaped where a cleaning drone had been hastily removed. Olivia crouched and crawled inside. The vent spat her out near the second checkpoint, a retinal scanner and keypad, utterly useless against a toddler. At floor level, an emergency hatch for atmospheric purge sat unsealed. It had never been locked because no adult could fit through. Olivia pushed. The hatch groaned open, and she tumbled into the dark, rocky enclosure. Behind her, the heavy door swung shut with a soft hiss, sealing her inside the Voidstalker's domain. The hatch sealed. Olivia blinked in the dim light, then smiled at the glowing blue ferns. Olivia wandered deeper, running her fingers over the bioluminescent moss. A glowing pebble caught her eye, and she picked it up with a delighted coo. A faint click echoed from the cave. The Voidstalker's claws scraped stone as it pushed itself upright, head rising into a hunting posture. The massive 6-legged predator slid into the open, obsidian scales drinking the light. Its fanged snout twitched, sifting the air. Olivia turned at the sound. Her face broke into a wide smile. She dropped the pebble and clapped her hands.
Doggy?
In the monitoring room, a junior technician glanced at a routine feed and let out a strangled scream that cut through the quiet. Velcor and David spun around. The main screen now displayed the impossible, the human child and the predator closing in. The habitat's automated security responded instantly. Alarms blared, red strobes flashed, and every screen locked onto the child's tiny form.
That's my daughter. Someone override that door. Now.
The Voidstalker's teeth gleamed inches from Olivia's outstretched hand. The beast's growl rumbled through the rock, but the girl did not flinch. The monitoring room was a storm of red lights and shouting. Every screen showed the same thing, a child and a Deathstalker.
Velkor's voice cut through the chaos. 17 handlers, Ambassador. That creature has ended 17 of my people.
David spun on his heel, fists clenched. I don't care about your dead handlers. That's my 3-year-old daughter in there.
On the screen, the Voidstalker froze, head tilting as if confused by the tiny creature's lack of fear. The growl deepened.
Olivia wiggled her fingers. Here, doggy. I won't hurt you.
Velkor clutched the console. The lockdown cycle cannot be overridden. It will take 10 minutes. By then, he couldn't finish.
The beast's snout descended, nostrils flaring, hot breath fogging Olivia's outstretched fingers. Still no bite. David lunged for the habitat corridor, but 2 armored guards caught his arms. He fought them, screaming her name.
Velkor whispered, staring at the screen. There is nothing we can do. Absolutely nothing.
The Voidstalker's growl stuttered as its leathery nose brushed Olivia's palm, a single sniff that held the room in frozen silence.
Olivia broke the silence with a delighted giggle. Good doggy. She patted the scaly snout with an open palm.
The Voidstalker's yellow eyes flickered, the growl cut off as if sliced. Its pupils dilated, swallowing the iris. Olivia reached higher, scratching the bony ridge above its eye. The creature's massive head dipped, pressing into her touch. The predator's legs trembled, then locked. A shudder ran through its 6 limbs, and its fanged mouth slackened, not a threat, but surrender.
In the monitoring room, Velkor gripped the console edge, his voice barely a whisper. That is a comfort response.
The Dralokian staff froze. No training had prepared them for this. A Deathstalker leaning into a human child's hand like a domesticated pet. David's legs gave way. He sank to his knees in front of the main screen, palm pressed flat against the glass, tears streaking his face.
That's my girl, David choked on the words, laughing and crying at once. My brave, impossible girl.
Olivia, oblivious to the chaos outside, grabbed a loose fold of the Voidstalker's neck scale and tugged gently. Soft, she announced.
Olivia pressed her cheek against the beast's snout. You are a nice doggy. Daddy would like you.
The Voidstalker's chest rumbled. A low, rhythmic thrumming began deep in its throat, growing louder with each breath. In the monitoring room, a secondary hologram flickered to life. The seismic waveform spiked violently, tracing a perfect subsonic purr at 27 hertz. Overhead lights flickered. A technician shouted, "Seismic activity in the habitat. The building is resonating." 2 Dralokian aides collapsed to the floor, their legs giving out in shock. No one moved to help them.
Velkor's voice cracked, his fanged mouth hanging open. She's petting it. The Deathstalker is purring.
Olivia wrapped both arms around the beast's neck, as best a 3-year-old could, her pink dress bunching against its dark scales.
Nice doggy. See? You are not scary. You are just a big softie.
The Voidstalker's eyes slid shut, its massive head drooped, and a rhythmic thump, 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 thump began, its tail slapping the stone floor in time with the purr.
David, still on his knees, laughed through fresh tears. She's tamed it. My little girl tamed the untamable.
The building continued to hum, the purr resonating through the foundations, a sound no Dralokian had ever imagined, now shaking their world.
She's alive. She's actually alive. My little girl is petting a Deathstalker, and she's alive.
Run a full bioscan. Check for pheromones, sedatives, anything. There must be a scientific explanation for this madness.
The scan returned in seconds. No sedatives, no pheromones, no chemical interference, just a human child, unarmed, undrugged, unafraid.
One of my retired keepers just spoke over the comm. In 200 years, no one ever petted the Voidstalker. Only commands and prods.
Velcor turned back to the main screen. Olivia now sat beside the beast, her tiny fingers tracing the edges of its deadly claws like they were a puzzle.
They are not death incarnate. They are lonely. We built a prison for a creature that only ever wanted a gentle hand.
You mean you never once tried to be gentle? In 2 centuries, nobody thought to just pet the damn thing.
Our handlers were trained for control, not compassion. The idea that a Deathstalker could respond to affection, we never considered it possible.
The beast's purr continued, a steady heartbeat shaking the walls. 2 species, centuries apart in understanding, meeting for the first time.
We need to get her out, but not by force. We do this on her terms, and the beast's. No more mistakes. I am going in. If she sees me, she'll come.
And if the beast sees you as a threat, its head would be at your throat, Ambassador.
The argument died, as every eye in the room fixed on the screen. Olivia was standing. She brushed rock dust off her pink dress and looked up at the Voidstalker with a wide grin.
You wanna come with me, doggy? Daddy's out there. He gives really good hugs.
The Voidstalker's head swiveled, its burning eyes tracing the sealed door. A questioning rumble filled the air. It understood. Not the words, but the meaning. This tiny creature was inviting it out. With a gentleness that belied its deadly fangs, the beast nudged Olivia toward the exit. She giggled and took a wobbly step. The Voidstalker fell into pace beside her, a guardian of shadow and scale.
We gotta go slow, okay? You are really big and the door is small, but Daddy will help.
9 holographic Dralokian elders materialized in the monitoring room, their forms shimmering in a circle.
Counselors, a human child has entered the Voidstalker habitat. The creature is purring, not attacking. One elder fears this is a human weapon, a child sent to tame our apex predator.
She is 3. She is not a weapon. She wandered in by accident.
Another elder mentions a legend. Soul whisperers, beings who could calm even Voidstalkers.
I don't care about legends. I want my daughter out safely, now.
Ambassador, please. The Council must decide. Rash action could break this fragile peace.
The elders argued among themselves, their holographic faces tense. Some wanted study, others demanded immediate removal.
Let us observe. The child is safe, the beast calm. We will plan extraction, but we cannot squander this miracle.
David clenched his jaw but remained silent, watching the screen. Olivia walked, the Voidstalker her faithful shadow. The massive hexagonal door loomed ahead, its surface scarred from centuries of isolation. Olivia stopped before it and knocked.
Daddy, I found a kitty. A really big one. Can we keep him?
Sweetheart, stay right there. Don't move. We're coming to get you.
Okay, but Mr. Buttons is hungry. We should get him some food.
The Voidstalker's head tilted. Something in the child's tone made its ears, if it had them, perk. A name, a new sound.
Sit, Mr. Buttons. Sit down, like a good doggy.
For a heartbeat, nothing. Then the 6-legged Deathstalker crouched, folding itself onto the stone, tail giving a tentative wag.
It obeys a child. The Deathstalker obeys a human toddler.
She named him. She's not just petting, she's leading.
In the monitoring room, no one dared breathe. The beast, Mr. Buttons, sat motionless, a guardian, awaiting his girl's next command. A small floor-level hatch hissed open. Dralokian technicians stepped back, and David Reeves knelt on the other side, arms outstretched.
Come on, sweetie. Just like you crawled in. Crawl right back to Daddy.
Olivia waved at Mr. Buttons, her smile wide. Bye-bye, doggy. I'll bring you a treat.
The Voidstalker lunged for the hatch, then stopped short, his massive head too large. A whine, high and piercing, tore from his throat. She watched the beast whine, then crouched and disappeared through the low opening, her pink dress trailing.
David's arms closed around her before she fully emerged. He hauled her into his chest, a sob breaking free.
He couldn't speak. He just held her, his face buried in her hair, the starched fabric of her dress crushed between them. On the other side, claws raked the sealed door. Mr. Buttons's cry, half howl, half keen, echoed through the stone.
Velcor's voice came over the intercom. The beast is grieving. We must not abandon him to solitude again.
Olivia's small hand pressed against the metal door. Don't be sad, Mr. Buttons. I'll come back tomorrow, I promise.
A Drelokian medic passed a glowing scanner over Olivia, who sat on David's lap, utterly unbothered. The medic's eyes widened. No injuries, no contaminant. She is remarkably healthy.
I told you, Daddy. He's a nice doggy. His name is Mr. Buttons.
A keeper's voice crackled over the comm. The Void Stalker refused food. He attacked the gate when we approached with meat.
The council must accept the truth. The beast has imprinted. Solitude will kill him or trigger a rampage.
One ancient elder's hologram leaned forward. Then we must bond them, not as prisoner and keeper, as companions. Let the child visit regularly.
You are asking me to make my daughter a zookeeper for your apex predator.
Number a bridge between his world and yours. A symbol we never knew we needed.
Olivia tugged David's sleeve. Can I show Mr. Buttons my toys tomorrow? He doesn't have any.
David exhaled slowly. In her innocent demand, he saw the future. A future where monsters taught them all how to love. In the new royal enclosure, a holographic proclamation shimmered above the crowd, naming Olivia a living cultural artifact.
Minister Velcor declared, henceforth, Olivia Reeves is the living bond between Drelok and humanity.
The habitat gate slid open. Olivia, in a tiny navy tunic, walked inside. Mr. Buttons lunged toward her, tail a joyful blur. He nuzzled her so hard she stumbled, a low purr rumbling through his chest as she caught her balance.
I missed you, Mr. Buttons. She hugged him tightly, pressing her cheek to his scales. I brought you a present. She held up a thick leather collar, a brass nameplate glinting in the light.
She fastened it around his neck. The engraving read, Mr. Buttons, in both human and Drelokian script.
David's voice cut through. She visits once a year, 2 days maximum, under my direct supervision. That is my condition.
Velcor handed her an ornate key. This unlocks any door on Drelok for you, young Bridge. Welcome home.
Olivia clutched the key in one hand, Mr. Buttons' warm snout in the other. A new door had opened, not just for her, but for 2 worlds. A year slipped by. In the royal enclosure, Mr. Buttons lay like a statue on his heated rock, tail limp, eyes half-lidded. A keeper's log noted he had refused to play for months. Then a shuttle descended, and a child's voice cut the silence.
Mr. Buttons, Mr. Buttons, I'm back.
The beast froze for a single heartbeat, then lunged, a 6-legged blur of joy. He knocked her into the soft moss, tail whipping wildly.
You remember me. Good boy. Who's a good boy?
Velcor's voice came over the comm, breathless, cortisol dropping, oxytocin spiking. This is not conditioning. This is love.
I made you a picture. See? That's you. And that's a rainbow.
She taped the drawing to the rock beside his bed. Mr. Buttons sniffed the paper and let out a rumbling purr of approval.
I missed you so much. I'm gonna visit every single year. I promise.
The enclosure filled with the subsonic purr, a sound now welcome instead of terrifying. The miracle was no accident. It was a promise. Within 3 years, the story ignited the galaxy. Headlines from a dozen worlds echoed the same phrase. The purr heard across the stars. A Drelokian research team published a groundbreaking paper. The Void Stalker was never innately aggressive, merely starved of social bonding. Earth and Drelok launched a joint human-animal bonding exchange. Human children visited zoos as gentle ambassadors, calming the uncalmable. At the Grand Drelokian Zoo, a human volunteer walked into a snarling voidstalker's enclosure. Within an hour, the beast was purring against her side. The footage went viral. Drelokian children flooded government channels with petitions for human-friend programs.
Minister Velcor addressed the Galactic Council, standing before the poster that now seemed a joke. One small human changed what 1,000 years of science could not.
Pamphlets were revised. Safe human interaction guidelines now read, "If a human child approaches you, do not panic. Offer a gentle hand." The Museum of Drelokian History opened a permanent exhibit, a replica of the sealed habitat, with a tiny pink shoe under glass. Across the galaxy, zoos reclassified dangerous species to socially deprived species. The Olivia effect rippled outward, unstoppable, and in the royal enclosure, Mr. Buttons wore his collar with patient eyes. The galaxy transformed around him, but he only waited for her. Olivia, now 11, stood in the grand ceremonial hall, her blonde hair in a single braid, wearing a formal navy tunic with gold trim.
Minister Velcor lifted the small sword, blade gleaming. This metal once caged the Voidstalker. Now it symbolizes the freedom you gave him.
He placed the sword in her hands. The hilt was shaped like a miniature Mr. Buttons, yellow gem eyes catching the light.
Olivia's voice, clear and confident. I'll carry it for him. For all the ones who never got a gentle hand.
Later, in the royal enclosure, she approached Mr. Buttons. The beast, now graying but powerful, lowered himself as she swung a leg over his back. Mr. Buttons rose gracefully, muscles rippling under his dark scales. Olivia settled into the custom saddle, her new sword at her hip. Drelokian generals watching from the gallery muttered in shock. A human riding a Deathstalker. They'd be unstoppable.
David, standing beside Velcor on the palace balcony, pressed a hand to his chest and murmured, "She's not going to war. She's going to change the galaxy her way."
Velcor nodded, his old eyes glistening. "She already has, my friend. She already has."
The sword caught the light as Olivia guided Mr. Buttons in a wide circle. Two souls who had once been captives of fear, now leading the future. A decade later, Olivia Reeves, now a striking young diplomat, led a delegation of human students through the Drelokian capital.
She paused before the sealed habitat door, now a tourist attraction. That's where I crawled in. I was 3.
Later, she slipped away to the royal enclosure. Mr. Buttons, silvered with age and slow to rise, lifted his massive head and let out a welcoming purr that vibrated through the moss.
She knelt and pressed her brow to his, her braid falling against his weathered scales. Still my good boy.
In the city square, a bronze statue was unveiled, a tiny girl petting a purring beast. The crowd's cheer shook the plaza. Children surged forward, taping crude crayon drawings to the base, purple blobs labeled Mr. Buttons and Best Doggy.
Velcor, ancient and stooped, watched from a bench, his bulging eyes moist. "She taught us that monsters are just friends we haven't been kind to yet."
Olivia Day became a galactic holiday, celebrated with gentle hands and open hearts. The story no longer needed telling, it was etched into the stars, a purr that would echo forever. In the Grand Drelokian Hall, Olivia, now a full ambassador, received a second ceremonial sword, its blade etched with the history of her bond.
Velcor's voice, thin with age but firm, "This blade carries the history of a child who taught us to purr."
Olivia used the sword to knight a line of young human and Drelokian peacekeepers, tapping each shoulder with the flat of the blade.
She said to each one, "Carry the lesson. Gentleness is the greatest weapon."
That evening, she walked into the royal enclosure, now quieter, filled with the scent of moss and fading daylight. Mr. Buttons lay on his side, too old to romp, but his tail gave a weak thump as she sat cross-legged beside him.
"You know," she whispered, rubbing the soft scales under his chin.
You're the best doggy a girl could ever ask for.
His purr rumbled faintly, a ghost of the seismic force it once was, but still strong enough to vibrate through the floor. Olivia pulled out a small device and played a recording, a 4-year-old voice chirping. "Good boy, Mr. Buttons. Good boy." The old beast's tail lifted in a shaky wag, his eyes still closed. He knew that voice across every year, beyond every goodbye. More years passed. The royal enclosure, once home to Mr. Buttons, now welcomed a new life, a Voidstalker cub born from the Gentle Zoo program. Olivia, her hair now silver, returned as a guide. A group of Drelokian and human children followed her into the enclosure.
This is a friend, just like my Mr. Buttons was. She knelt and took a small, trembling purple hand.
Together, they pressed the child's tiny palm against the cub's snout. The cub froze, then sniffed.
Be soft, be kind. That's all they need.
A tiny purr rumbled from the cub's chest. The same seismic frequency that once shook a building, now a lullaby. The children erupted in laughter, clapping as the cub flopped onto its side, tail thumping the moss. Outside the enclosure, the bronze statue of Toddler, Olivia, and Mr. Buttons bore a new plaque. Olivia Reeves, the child who taught us to purr. The lesson lived on, passed from hand to hand, purr to purr, from one gentle soul to the next. Decades later, the council hall was packed. A holographic display showed the original kill list, 17 names in blood-red script. With a gesture, the image overlaid thousands of peaceful logs. 0 fatalities since the Olivia incident. Total purrs recorded, incalculable.
Velcor, ancient and trembling, spoke into the silence. We were fools. Thank you, Olivia, for showing us that even death can purr.
Olivia, silver-haired and serene, took the podium. The same ceremonial sword she received at 11 rested at her hip.
Fear kept this creature in chains for centuries. A child's hand set it free, and that child was all of us when we chose to be gentle.
The official proclamation shimmered into view. The Voidstalker species renamed Amicus Personus. The purring friend, the hall erupted. Drelokians pounded their chests in reverence. A sound like a distant purr. Human diplomats wiped tears. Olivia stood still among the ovation, her gaze on the holographic collar. She pressed a hand to her sword hilt and smiled softly. She nodded toward the projected image of the empty enclosure, as if saying a final goodbye to the friend who had taught the galaxy to purr. The lesson was complete. The galaxy had learned to purr. Night fell over Drelok. Twin moons silvered the bronze statue of a tiny girl and her purring beast. A new drawing had been taped to the base. A stick-figure girl and a smiling 6-legged beast. Crayon lines wobbling. The paper fluttered in the night breeze. A small hand had placed it there only moments ago. From the distance, a subsonic tremor rippled through the stone. A purr, a puddle near the statue shimmered with the same low frequency that once shook a building. The camera rose above the statue, above the quiet park, over a city that no longer feared the night. The palace, the enclosure, the stars, all embraced under the same violet sky that had witnessed a miracle. The purr persisted, a gentle bass thrum as if the planet itself was remembering. It held for a heartbeat longer, then slowly, softly, faded. Silence.